Well, I mean, Logan, you ready to burn everything down? You just ready to be done?
Bro, it just kind of is what it is. I mean, that's
uh,
just life at the moment.
I mean, goodness. Baseball goes out and lays an egg. Not really lays an egg, but loses a series against LSU and found another way to lose rather than finding ways to win. Basketball portal opens and, hopeful that you're going to get to keep some guys.
Yeah.
And they did. Rick did a good job retaining two guys.
Uh,
And
uh, maybe three.
maybe three, maybe four,
Maybe four. No, not four. It's
maybe
three.
four.
No,
Uh,
it's three.
and then it just while we're down, freaking God, JP comes out and commits to Michigan. Like it
That's some
just
Kevin Durant type, you know what.
oh, you're not wrong,
Go to the team that knocks you out.
man. Hey, welcome to the Rocky Top Rundown. This might be a little bit spicier of an episode than what we've done in the past. Some feelings are hurt. We're feeling a little emotional,
No,
if
we're
I'm
not.
being
I already
honest.
told you how I feel.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second, but it's a good night, so appreciate you joining. And Logan, let's just hop into it. This is primarily a baseball podcast, but we are in the midst of the basketball portal, so uh, let's hit it real quick. Pretty much everyone's gone, except for the only confirmed names that we have staying from this past season's team are Dwayne Brown and Troy Henderson. Ethan Berg still has yet to make a decision, and Nate Ament has not declared for the draft. Tyler Lundblade, has committed. He committed last week. He's a shooter wing from Belmont. That's a great pickup. And then you've got three freshmen coming in, and that is the roster currently for the 2026-2027 men's basketball team for the University of Tennessee. So, Logan, with that, are you excited? Are you nervous? Is what are your feelings that you and I have kind of discussed already?
About
The
like
basketball
what,
team,
what,
where the
I
state
guess
is currently, the fact that
I was about to say
everyone
like what's
left.
there to be nervous about? I guess because it's like
What emotions do you feel?
nothing. No, I've already told you. I hope like Boswell, whatever, right? Go to NC State with Justin Gainey. It's closer to home. I don't if whatever. You know, Jalen Carey. I think that one was very much you have to take a pay cut because you didn't produce like you're supposed to, and you came in out of shape. So we don't have the same ideals for what you're going to be next year. That's a mutual decision. Um, Amari Evans, eh, he wants a bag. I'm not paying Amari Evans over $1 million. I'm just not doing it. I will not do it. So whatever. JP, that's a guy that's been in your program you've invested in for 3 years. You stood by him as he didn't play his freshman year because he just didn't have it, I guess. And then he gave you nothing last year because and it's not his fault he gave you nothing last year. You got hurt, but you still stood by him, continued to develop him even though he got hurt. So basically, his first year on campus, he didn't give you anything when you needed post prep players. Um, and then he goes and takes a lot more money, not as much as he could have gotten necessarily. Not that he was just looking for a payout, but to go to the team that knocked you out, the national champions, whereas to maybe expand his game to try to get him ready for the NBA. Rick Barnes put a lot of guys in the NBA. LaMarcus Aldridge made a lot of money in the NBA playing the power forward position. JP didn't play defense at the right level he was supposed to. Really didn't rebound at the level he should have. Offensively, yes. Defensively, no. So that was one of those where it's like a little bit of a slap in the face. Like Rick Barnes has also shown that each year guys progress more and more, and as you progress, he trusts you more to let you do more things. So if you want it to be a stretch four, be a stretch four next year, stretch five, whatever. I don't know.
Which is what JP was looking for. Mike Wilson of On Three kind of hit that, and said that JP was looking to have a more expanded role on the offensive end, and I guess Rick told him, that we hear that the post-season exit interviews are very honest. Rick is very honest with everyone about what he sees for them next year, what the roles are going to be, things like that. So they're all on the same page, which is also why I think Rick is so successful in the transfer portal. And I guess JP didn't like what he was hearing.
No, I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess not. And the national champion wants you to come to him. I guess you go. Whatever. That one. So that one's above everything else on the hurt, like on the hurt scale. I mean, I'm kind of over all of them, and I'll touch on that whole thing when we get done with the individual stuff. Uh, but like that one's higher up on the list than everything else. But equally as high. I hope Cade Phillips goes to Alabama. Like, I need it like I need oxygen. Because I want to be there next year. And I will be there for blood. I will boo like I thought I booed Jonas Adu a lot last year when Arkansas came to town. Oh no. If I don't care that Cade's an Alabama boy that has all those Alabama connections, you came here. That should have been done. You go there, there's no loyalty anyways. If you don't have the loyalty enough to stay and you're just gonna go chase money and roles and stuff, like my loyalty to you is dying. I'm not loyal to you.
Right.
But you go there, oh, I will be there ready to boo like I have never booed before. I will be on him from warm-ups.
And is that only
Not
if he
that
goes to
can really
Alabama or?
No, Alabama. I'll still
Okay.
boo him wherever, but they probably won't play him. If he didn't go to Alabama, they're probably not going to play him next year.
Right.
But not that he could hear me, in my section
Nosebleeds,
300
yeah.
seats. But still, it doesn't make me feel better.
Right.
So, and not that he would care if he could hear me from the third row, anyways.
No, he can't hear you over his millions he'll make.
Okay, I don't know that he's going to make millions. And to be frank with you,
million and a half.
Like, he'll probably make 1.5 million, and his agent is taking 20%. That's what the going rate for agents is now. Apparently,
which
is
is
20%.
Insane.
So he's really not even going to be making anywhere near $1 million. So those two are the ones that hurt, JP and Cade. And so, hurt again. I'm not really hurting anymore. It's like I told you. This whole thing, the more I thought about it, like, these guys, like, there's been a standard that's set. Is it fair to expect an Elite Eight every year? No, it is not. But what they did this year as a whole, Elite Eight, great, awesome. But what they did as a whole was not up to the standard that has been set.
Yeah.
It was not good enough from a consistency standpoint, from a play standpoint. They rarely played up to that standard. Houston game, for the most part, they played up to that standard, right? Alabama on the road probably played up to that standard.
And you're talking about playing to that standard for a full 40 minutes.
Yeah, Iowa State, sure, maybe, even with all. Anyways, this team was not good enough. These players were not good enough. So as far as I'm concerned, go. If you think you're worth more than what you are, that's fine, go. I'm not going to bat an eye because obviously these guys were not good enough to live up to the standard that had been set and hold the standard and play and play like Tennessee basketball has been played the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, there's a down year, right? Grant and them left, and then it was Folky's team, and that team may or may not have made the tournament just because they didn't have a lot of scoring that year. That was tough because Bowden kind of went into a shooting slump. Fulkerson didn't realize fully that he could score in the post like that. But then what happened the next year, 2021? Kennedy, Zakai, they come in. What do? Win the first SEC tournament in 30 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. And what happens the next year? There is a Sweet 16, but they didn't have a point guard.
Right.
They have the Kai Ziegler not tearing his ACL. That's a Final Four team. It's not even an Elite 8 team. That's a Final Four team.
Let's not disrespect the recently signed Toronto Raptor, Tyreek Key, was on that team.
He's not a point guard. They don't have a point guard.
Yeah, you're right.
and they would have had to beat FAU, and then do you know who they would have had to beat then? I just drew a blank as I'm telling you that, but it was like the 9 seed.
I'll
It was
look
the
it up.
9 seed, and then do you know who they would have played in the Natty or in the final, whatever? Do you know who the national what the national championship game was that year? The Final Four game was San Diego State and FAU on that side of the bracket.
Hmm.
I'm almost positive.
I'm looking it up. That's the
I
wrong
mean,
one.
so even if that one, there was a lot more to that one than
Yes, they would have played Kansas State, a 3 seed. And then
yeah.
if they had won that, it was San Diego State or Creighton, a 5 and a 6 seed.
That's what I'm saying. So they have their point guard. They're hot at that point. That team
Yeah,
was. They were playing well. They beat Duke. In fact, Olivier Kamwa took Duke to the woodshed.
that he did.
Was that a Zion or a Cooper Flag Duke? No, but it was still like a
They're
high level
still
Duke team.
they're still a 5 seed.
Yeah,
It was
it
John
was a good
Shire's
Duke
first
team.
year.
Yeah. So that one, and then the next year is
Purdue with
Kai
Connect.
junior year. That's DK. You played a Final Four game in the Elite Eight. You got unlucky that you had to play Zach Edey.
Yeah.
The only thing you just got unlucky. And then the next year, you ran into a Houston team that did everything, played exactly like you. They just did it better.
Yep.
But you still were you were 2 seeds. So these guys didn't live up to that. Yes, they made a great tournament run. They also got
We can't take away from this year's team and the fact that they were able to get to an Elite Eight because they got, quote, lucky. I mean, they did, but also like they were underseeded as a 6 seed. And so they got opponents that they matched up well against. And that's all March is about is catching teams that you match up well against. And previous teams, when they got to the Elite Eight, just like this year's team, met a team that they did not match up well against. And so I think
well, but no,
your point still remains. Previous year's teams, the last 4 years' teams would not have blown the amount of leads that this year's team did, and had the issues that this year's team did. Like there were moments where it was like, do you guys have where's your head right now? Like, are you in this game or are you somewhere else? Because a lot of the mistakes that were made were not like, oh, you got sped up or the defense did this, the defense did that. They just were giving the ball away.
yeah, but I mean, I still think you can say those other teams got unlucky. Like, I still think you can hold matchups over things.
I'm just saying that I think that what I'm saying is that it sounds like you're trying to take away from what this year's team did just because they got lucky. Is that what you're trying to do, or am I misreading what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying this team did not play up to the standard that previous teams was. This team was not what previous teams were. The only reason they got as far as everybody else did is because of the matchups that they got in March.
Correct.
And they would not even and other teams would have even made it further if they would have gotten fortunate draws like this year's team.
Correct. Yes, I do agree. I agree with that.
So all that to say was a very long way of saying I'm really not worried about it. Like, I'm not worried that we're losing, guys. Go. You want to go and you think you're worth more? Go. You didn't live up to what you should have, anyways. The nervous part is it is a roll of the dice when you bring in a bunch of transfers, whether they mesh or not.
Correct.
You look at Michigan this year, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Florida State football the last 2 years, dumpster fire.
Right.
So you just don't know.
Which Michigan, that's kind of overblown in my opinion. Yes, they were all 5 transfers. They were playing together like for the first time, things like that. Elliot Cadeau is probably one of the most underrated point guards in the country. I don't feel like he got enough respect this year because of how good his team was. But he was incredible at UNC and was part of the reason North Carolina was as good as they were the last 3 years, or not this, including this year. But, the reason that Hubert Davis was able to have some of the success that he did. But all those guys were, I think 4 of their starting 5 were 5-stars in high school, coming out of high school.
Sure. But it doesn't have anything to do with how good of a player they are individually. Like Florida State football, they got a bunch of high level transfers. You just don't know if they're going to mesh or not.
Kentucky's a good example.
Yeah.
Like the first half of the year, Kentucky, they had all these problems. They were fighting with each other, sleeping with each other's girlfriends, all the different reports that were coming out. So your points stand, and that's what I am nervous about is who is your culture piece now? Who is driving your culture? That's something we talked about on Sunday. You got Dwayne Brown, Troy Henderson. If you keep all four of these guys, you have guys that have been in this system 1 year and on the team 1 year, all four of them. Are they going to be the ones to be able to help educate the new guys on the culture, on what's expected? Now, I think Rick is going to do. I think Rick will have to be much more involved with the team culture-wise this year than he probably has been the last several years. And so,
Yeah.
I think that I think it's kind of catch-22. I'm excited because I think they're in the mix for a really interesting team this year, and I think that Rick is going to be able to put some pieces together that's going to be awesome. But I'm also nervous for everything that you just talked about. Now, they're willing to go spend a bag for all of this, but what I'm watching personally is how many years do these guys have left that Rick's bringing in? Because if Rick's bringing in a bunch of seniors and grad transfers, then I'm like, all right, cool. This is Rick's final year because there's no way Rick's going to do this again. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't know what coach of his age is going to want to put together a complete roster again in the portal next year. Now, retaining a guy like, going back to Troy Henderson and trying to keep him, maybe that shows signs of forward thinking. But I'm very interested. And so last thing, and then we need to get to baseball. You think Nate's coming back?
I think we have a better chance of beating Texas in September than Nate coming back.
You talking about in football?
In football. No, Nate is not coming back. And I know people are like, he hadn't announced yet if he was coming. If he wasn't coming back, why hadn't he announced yet? Who's declared for the draft?
No, you're right.
So,
but hey, they kept Troy Henderson, his AAU teammate.
AJ DeBonce hadn't declared. Aaron Peterson hadn't declared. Cam Boozer hasn't declared.
Personally, I think a lot of these players, not a lot of them, but some of the players, just my opinion, are waiting to see how the lottery goes to see if they want to be the potential number one pick or not.
Well, but it doesn't matter, right? Because you just decline workouts for teams. And if you don't go work out for a team, they're not going to draft you.
True.
So
something to keep an eye on, though. They announced the Christmas Day games were leaked for next year. You know who had a Christmas Day game?
The Grizz?
No, the Sacramento Kings. Now, why would the Sacramento Kings get a Christmas Day game?
Because they have AJ DeBonce on their roster. I hope it's AJ. There's no way. Who else is it going to be? There's no way it could be anybody but AJ, right?
Could be. I just blanked on his name from Arkansas.
There's no way they drafted
Acuff.
a defensive liability at point guard with Darius Acuff. I don't see a guy that plays zero defense being the number one pick. I don't
know. It'll be. Listen, it'll be. I'm just saying, if the Kings get the number one pick, NBA's rigged. More reason as to why Adam Silver's kind of killing that product. But that is a conversation for a different day because the NBA is unwatchable.
Do you draft Cam Boozer number one overall?
Oh God, no.
I don't think his game he'll be good. Don't get me wrong, and probably even maybe an all-star. But what's translatable about his game that makes you think he's going to be a perennial elite face of your franchise consistently type guy?
I think his comp is. I don't think he's as athletic as Blake Griffin, and I don't want to. And I don't mean
he's more skilled than Blake Griffin. He can shoot the ball, put it on the floor.
I think he's a more modern age Zach Randolph. When I watch him.
That's a little disrespectful. I don't know about that.
When I watch him in college, what I think he'll be able to do in the NBA, I think a more skilled Zach Randolph. I don't know enough. Maybe an undersized LaMarcus Aldridge. Is that fair?
I'd give you that one more than a Zebo.
Okay.
He's at least skilled offensively. Zebo really wasn't skilled.
Hey,
he was just a bully.
Don't disrespect that jump hook. So, hey, if you're listening, we got off the rails a little bit. Thanks for being here. Please like, rate, subscribe as we are riding the roller coaster that is the Tennessee Volunteers athletic program. We are happy to be here. We enjoy this. And, I hope you're not here for any Danny White slander because he gets at least another year before I'm ready to say he needs to be fired.
Only a year?
Nah, he gets way more than that, personally. So... I think, that's a conversation for a different day. But, Logan, Let's flip over to the second largest dumpster fire on campus. I don't really think the women's basketball team is a dumpster fire. I think that is just where basketball is.
Something has to be there to get caught on fire, and there's
Well,
nobody there.
that's true. No, that's not true. They got
They
one
got three
commit.
now.
Oh,
They got
three.
three players. Now.
Three.
They got three
Hey,
players, two
listen.
transfers and a freshman.
Listen, I'm just
Hey.
saying.
The leading freshman, the leading scorer for all freshmen in the country, averaged 20 last year. Was the commit today?
Hey, listen. I'm just saying. I think that, and I'm just going to put this out. I think that people are wildly overreacting to women's basketball. And I think it is because they see women's basketball as the reason that Tony wasn't happy and left. And it's all just some snowball thing to get Danny White out of his position, which I'm just.
It all comes back to Danny White for you.
It comes back to Danny White for everybody. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people. And so I'm a very pro Danny White guy. I just don't understand the hatred I see of Danny White on
I'm just
Twitter
telling you right
and
now.
Facebook.
If Tennessee football only wins 6 games this year, I'll fire everybody. Fire Josh Heupel, fire Danny White,
Listen,
fire the judge who didn't give Joey Aguilar another year.
yeah, the mistake Tennessee made was not doing that down in Mississippi. So, but hey, let's flip over to baseball. They
You have to.
We'll be quick, but yeah, we want to be a holistic Tennessee podcast. So baseball played LSU this past weekend, and it went just like the Vanderbilt game or Vanderbilt series.
No, I guess.
You had 3 straight winnable games.
I must say, technically, it went better, but in some ways, it went worse.
I think I would take 3 walk-offs.
You won a game in the LSU series.
I guess that's true. Yeah, you're
Technically,
right.
it went better.
You're right. They didn't get swept, so that's great. But rubber match game Sunday, you had an opportunity to win. You were up 5-0.
But I sat there and watched that, and honestly, Evan Blanco was good, right? If you give up 2 solo home runs, you should not get beat. Like that is
correct.
Like,
hold on, let me finish. In case you didn't watch, Tennessee baseball gets up 5-0 in the third inning. They have a big third inning on some errors from LSU. They got some help from LSU, but hey, they capitalized. It was great. Blaine Brown got a big home run. He looked like he was back in it, and then they proceeded to be outscored 1-16 and lost in the 12th inning when they gave up 10 runs. And we could break down the whole weekend.
Extra inning.
We could break down the whole weekend, but I feel like what I just described has been the last couple weeks, where they are in position to win games. And I sent you the stat. The On3 guys did a great job breaking it down, but they're getting outscored something like 37-15 in the last 7 innings.
I think it was 27-6.
Is it 27-6?
No, that can't be right. That can't be right because they scored 10 runs.
I think it's 37-15.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
And so, fine. You could take the 10 runs that LSU scored in the 12th inning out of it, still getting outscored in the last 7 innings of games. What would that, 27-15?
By double digits.
That's still not good. And so, offense is doing enough to win. They're getting a big enough lead. But
I don't like that.
But what I'm getting to is offense is putting up runs early in the game. The starters are doing well enough to be in positions to win. Both sides are doing enough to be in a position to win. And then you get down the stretch and there seems to be some sort of something falling apart. I truly don't know what it is. And so I want to start, we've got a fork in the road. Logan, do you think that this is coaching?
Oh, no.
Or poor coaching, or is it a lack of execution by the players?
No. This has nothing to do with coaching. Is he perfect? No. Has he left the occasional guy in too long? Absolutely. Do you know who you people used to get so mad at? So mad at for leaving guys in too long?
Tony Vitello?
That was the biggest knock on Tony Vitello, that he left guys in too long. But you know what happened? He had guys absolutely clubbing it
Yeah.
everywhere. And so they were outscoring folks anyways. So if they
Which,
lost the game, whatever. But no, listen, did I agree? Was you can and I can't lie because it's in our text receipt. I was all caps texting when Trent Grindlinger squared around a bunt
yeah.
in that game this weekend. That being said, that was actually the right call. Away from it, everything else, you are hitting 227 in SEC play as a team. 227.
Yeah.
How bad has Blaine Brown been in SEC play?
You sent that to me, and you'll just have to say it because I don't have it pulled up.
He's been bad. And guess what? He's like your third most productive hitter.
Yeah.
Reese Chapman has been what you need. Perfect? No. He was phenomenal Friday night. Didn't have a great Saturday, Sunday, whatever. But Reese, for the most part, has been solid. He's not a Christian Moore. He's not a Dylan Dryling. He's not going to necessarily carry your offense, but he's at least been a steady, calming presence in your lineup where he's been productive for the most part. Blake Grimmer had a little bit of a cold streak. Not been bad, though. He's homered in 4 straight. He's been at least serviceable. The guy you're paying all kinds of money to, who's supposed to be a first-round pick this year, is hitting under 200 in SEC play, and he's still in the 3-hole the whole time. I didn't realize how bad Henry Ford had been in SEC play. Now I know a couple weeks he's been dealing with some sickness, blah 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 blah. He's hitting under 200 in SEC play, and he's your 3-hole hitter. I mean, poor Levi Clark, he's not hitting any better than Levi Clark is. So, like, this has nothing to do with coaching, man. This is just, and I know you're not wrong, and the Volquest guys weren't wrong either, because I know they said it a lot today, that your hitting has been good enough. I do think that's wrong. Your hitting has not been good enough. You've had runs to where you should have still won games, but I mean, your hitting's not good enough. Your runners left on base. Yeah, you scored 4 runs. LSU also had like 9 errors. You average like 4 runs a game, 5 runs a game. LSU also had like 9 errors. So it's just like the hitting's not good enough. And then, but I mean, the real problem is, but to that being said, the hitting has at least given you a chance. It's not like you're getting shut out.
Right.
Your starting pitching has been good. I think Coons has been fine. Coons has been fine really the whole year. His issue was, and the reason he got pulled on that Friday was because he's a little slow to the plate, and that when he has gotten hit, he's gotten hit hard. It's extra base hits, things like that. Mac, been pretty good, especially when he cut down his walks. Blanco, Vanderbilt was an anomaly. That was a weird day. The wind was blowing everywhere. Just chalk that one up to just whatever. Blanco's been good on Sundays, man. He has been. For a Sunday pitcher, and he's better than a Sunday pitcher. He could go be a Saturday guy on a lot of teams. But he's been good.
Yeah.
He was good this week. He gave up 2 runs.
Yeah.
2 solo home runs. But coming into the year, who do you think was supposed to be let's just say 3. Who were supposed to be your 3 best relievers? 4 best relievers.
Well, we talked about Appenzeller,
Okay.
Rudy,
Okay.
Krenzel, and then Arv.
Okay. That's
4.
That's 4. I would not put Appenzeller in that conversation. He is now. He's your best reliever.
Right.
But coming into the year, because there's one guy that you left out that got preseason awards that none of those guys did.
You're talking about Frederick?
Yep. He received the most preseason accolades out of any player on your roster.
Yeah.
Or at least him and Henry Ford did. Friday, who blew it?
Yeah.
Arvidsson, Rudy, 2 guys you just mentioned, right? Who won it Saturday? Appenzeller. He's phenomenal. He's your best pitcher. It's not even close.
Man among boys.
Who blew it on Sunday?
It was Frederick, right? He was the one that came out?
Yeah. And who else came in?
And then I'm going to hold on. Frederick, Arvidsson, Rudy, Krenzel, Day,
Your
Abraham, Deering.
your three best pitchers all pitched in your extra inning game. Who was supposed to be your three best relievers pitched in your extra inning game on Sunday, and that's when you lost the lead.
Yeah.
The guys that are supposed to be anchoring your bullpen are not doing anything. They're not like Arvidsson. Arvidson's been hot and cold, but when he's cold, he's really bad. He has been cold in bad spots this year.
Yeah.
Frenzel, I give Elander some blame on that because he left him in Georgia too long, and he's been a shell of himself since.
Yeah.
Throw him in a midweek, do something. He's got to figure it out. He's hit a backstop every time he's warmed up the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, Frederick, you remember the 2 home runs Frederick gave up?
Back to
He
back.
threw
right?
3 pitches. Yeah, he threw 3 pitches. He threw a ball. His first pitch was a meatball, belt high, right down the middle at 87. It's a batting practice fastball. Next guy comes up, slider or something. I don't remember what it was. I think outside and off the plate. I think. Don't take me to that.
Yeah.
Third pitch. Do you know what it was? Fastball from batting practice, like 87, right down the middle, meatball. Yeah. Like, what are you supposed to do? How are you going to win games when your best players aren't doing? This sophomore class is such a big part of what Tennessee has to do to be successful, and they are not.
Yeah.
Carrying their weight. Coons good, right? Coons been fine. Grimmer, been okay. Manny Marin, good. He's been good. He's the last 2 weekends have been a struggle, but for the whole year, he's been good. Swings it way too. He's way like it's basically unless that ball's in the dirt, he's swinging on the first pitch. But and some of this is just approach. But your guys that have supposed to be carrying your team have not been good enough, and you're not. It's not like you're getting blown out, Alec. Like, yes, you give it 10 runs, it just snowballed on you at that point on Sunday. But you're just not getting production from guys that you're supposed to, and you're still almost winning. It's not like you're getting ran off the field by anybody.
That's probably the hardest part, right? Is that it's like they're right there. Right there. You are a couple plays here or there. Like Sunday. Which it would have been a difficult play. But it got hit to
flip it.
Yeah.
Abernathy, he flips it to Marin.
Correct.
And Marin took a bad route to the bag.
Correct. And if I remember correctly, that might have been a different one. But it's little things where, like, I want to say that Abernathy was going to get a ball from Marin throwing from short to second, and it may not have been Abernathy. I can't remember. But instead of he was set up on the inside rather than being on the outside when the ball was coming from the outfield portion of the dirt. And I was talking to my wife, and it was just like, that's one of those things where I don't know what I would have done in that situation, but that seems like a little thing where if whoever was at second has his body on the outside of second towards short rather than being on the inside more towards first, maybe he has a bigger target to be able to throw to, and he doesn't get pulled off the bag, he gets an out. It's little things like that. Like, you've got 9 outs to get. Because obviously they hit the 7th inning. That stat we threw out. The 7th inning, things change. You're still getting outscored by double-digit runs in SEC, or I think that might be for the entire year. But still, you just got to get 9 outs. And it's little things like that where you're not getting an out here. You're not turning 2 here. It's just little things that they got to tune up, and they've got to tune up quickly because right now they're on the verge of missing a regional.
Yeah. I mean, not making the NCAA tournament is in play. It is. And I mean, someone's unlucky, right? I mean, and you think about it, in the last month, how many choppers have other teams hit and they're legging them out? Like, it's a soft ground ball and we just quite can't make the play.
Correct.
Whereas we do that and it just goes right to a guy, whatever. Someone's just unlucky. But I mean, you think about it, you've lost 4 out of 5. You're 4-8 in the conference. You've lost 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
In those 4 out of your last 5, it has been walk off. 3 straight walks leading to a grand slam in the 8th.
Yeah.
Okay. Win extra innings where you dropped the ball in the game. So that's how close you are to being winning all 5 of those games, and now you're what, 9-3 in the league?
Something like that.
Let's just split the difference. Go 7-5.
Yeah.
How much better do you feel about baseball at 7-5 right now?
Yeah. And I
You're
think that's
hosting
the
a
other thing.
regional.
Outside of Friday Night Missouri, I can't think of a game where I'm just like, man, they got beat. They got beat because that Friday night game against Missouri, that was one where you're talking about where Coons was getting picked on, a little slow to the plate, but they were still like kind of in play there. But I mean, for the most part, Missouri had that game handled. From there, they have been in a position to win every single game since. And that Missouri was SEC opener, was it? No, Georgia was. But still, you're talking about your 4th game in SEC play, probably being the only game so far where you were just beat. You were in a position to win every other game, even if you shouldn't have been. Like the Sunday game against Georgia. That was a game you were dead to rights. And you're 5 inches away from taking the lead and potentially clinching that game. And who knows how they play if that happens.
But it shouldn't even get to that point. You're at 5-0 in that game.
Correct.
So it's just it's. I heard. I was listening a little bit to the 247 baseball podcast today with Ben McKee and Will Heflin, which is a really good pod. Ben knows baseball. Obviously, Will Heflin played here at Tennessee. He does radio with Wilkerson for baseball sometimes. And Heflin said that for the post game this weekend, he went down and did some sprinted down after the game, did some player interviews or whatever, and then kind of got Elander off the record and was talking to him, and really just kind of asked him like, dude, like, how you doing? How you doing? And he said Elander was so upbeat. He was like, man, we are so freaking close.
They are.
We are so freaking close. And I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, they got to hit the ball better, man. You cannot hit 227. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You're paying Henry Ford too much money to hit under 200. You're playing Blaine Brown too much money to hit 223, right?
You're paying all these guys to hit. Yeah. You're paying all these guys too much money to be hitting under 200. And you've got multiple guys hitting under 200.
Yeah. But that being said, they're still close. It's just it's one thing here, 2 things there.
Yeah.
And that's what's frustrating. Is like Saturday's a good win. Appy looks great. And you take that step forward, and then it's 2 steps back.
A lot like basketball.
So, and now, guess what you get to do tomorrow?
You get to go to Mississippi State, who's one of the hottest teams in the country.
And possibly the best home field advantage in all of baseball.
Right.
At a place that, if you ask them, is their number 1 sport over football and basketball.
That's a wild statement. But you're not wrong.
So, maybe they like football more. I don't know. Maybe that's me speaking out of turn and not know it. But they would rival it. It's up there.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't get any easier. You get number 9 Mississippi State. You're going there this weekend, and then you get Ole Miss. That Ole Miss series is almost a have-to sweep at this point. You need all 3 of those wins. But then you're going to Alabama. Sorry, you get Alabama at home. You go on the road to Kentucky, which that sounds terrible with how they've handled small ball play up throughout this season.
Well, I'll say their defense is actually not a bit bad. They've played pretty good defense, for the most part this year.
Yeah.
No, but Kentucky's going to put a lot more pressure on you than most teams.
Correct.
That'll be interesting to see.
But then after Kentucky, you get Texas at home, which is not going to be easy. And then you finish up on the road at Oklahoma. And so, the league's in a weird spot right now. But if it were to end today, Tennessee would be on the first day in Hoover as the 14 seed.
That's not making a regional.
No. And so you gotta get stuff done. You gotta do it quick.
How big would a series win be this weekend? You could somehow crank out a series win at Dud Nobley.
I don't want to sit here and say that you have to have it, but you got to be competitive. You got to give yourself a reason to believe, because I feel like that's where this team is. They're teetering into, do we even have it? Can we do this? And they've got it. They've got the talent. They just, maybe, again, speaking from inexperience and ignorance, maybe we just be a little bit more patient at the plate. Because as a whole, when these guys are patient at the plate, hunt pitches, get at bats closer to 8 pitches, rather than the 3 or 4, heck, the 1. What inning was that against LSU where the pitcher threw 5 pitches and got out of the inning?
Yeah.
like you gotta, and I get it. Some of them look great, and that's where I don't understand the difference there. But I'm also like on some of these, how are you not hunting a fastball? If you're up in the count 3-0, a lot of them just sit and take the pitch, which
Yeah,
is
sure,
fine. Hunt the walk, I guess, but also, man, swing for the fences. Look for that fastball down the middle because the pitcher's got to get back in a groove.
sure.
Like if you're going to take a strike anyways, I'd rather you take a strike swinging.
Hmm.
Now again, speaking out of ignorance, because I'm also saying, hey, be more patient. So the more patient thing to do would be to just take the strike. But it's one of those things where they gotta turn it around quickly because the RPI is in the low 40s, but yeah, you're 14th in the conference right now. The only two teams behind you are Missouri and South Carolina, which means everyone else on your schedule is ahead of you in the standings. So
Oh man.
it's not going to be an easy road for them to make a regional. Now, with that, assuming they can retain everyone this offseason, as far as the young guys go, the freshmen and sophomores, they'll be in a good spot next year. I mean, you look at this
Well,
roster, and over half of it are freshmen and sophomores. I would say, I haven't done the numbers exactly, but I would say that it's probably somewhere around a 60-40 split where you've got 40% being redshirt sophomores or older. So you're going to lose them, potentially, most
yeah.
likely. You're going to get a lot of this team back next year. And if you do that, man, I don't want to look ahead to next year. I don't want to wish this year away. But hopefully they all take the proper steps and things continue to progress as we thought they would. Now, maybe Tony leaving kind of, I wonder how much of that, because like everything we're saying, this team was built by Tony. Is Tony really going to have that many more in-game adjustments that Elander's not going to have? Like,
No.
is the coaching, has the coaching been that bad that Tony makes a difference?
Well, no. And I mean, you even look at last year. I mean, you had Gavin. You had how many first round picks did you have? Elon, Fisher, Dean Curley was a top 3 round pick.
Yeah, you had two pitchers
Um,
that were top 50 picks.
that's what I'm saying. So it's like, yeah,
You had two
Doyle,
guys throwing triple
Franklin,
digits on a regular basis
yeah,
last year.
and they were still. Think about how bad they were in spurts last year.
Yeah.
Like, you knew when they went to Super Regional Arkansas, they weren't winning that super.
No.
So, and they barely hosted their own regional.
Yeah.
I think when they get a 16 seed, a 15 seed, it was like 14-16. It was something like that.
Yes. I want to say Arkansas
So,
was 2. So they're
so
15.
Tennessee was either 14 or 15.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, Arkansas was 2 or 3, Tennessee was 14 or 15. So it's not like they were just, so like the standard cannot be 2 years ago when they won the national championship. That's not normal. But it's got to be better than what it is this year.
Correct.
Like, this is not normal either. Like this should, for an elite program, this can't be how it is either. But I mean, you look at, Mississippi State had a really bad year the year after they won a natty.
Yeah.
The year Tennessee won it, Mississippi State was really bad in 24. And now they're back. Last year they were pretty good. This year they're really good. So there's ebbs and flows in baseball. Youth is a thing. Like, I mean, you even look at 2023, for as good as Semo was, his career, Blake Burke wasn't his career, guys like that. I mean, Blake Burke struggled his sophomore year. Semo was solid, but I mean, he wasn't what he was his junior year.
Right.
So, a lot of, that extra year can make a difference. So, like you said, not wishing this year away, and there's still stuff to play for. They can turn it around. They were 5-10 in SEC play last year.
Yeah.
Ended up hosting a regional. So, but that being said, like sophomore to junior does make a difference.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. And who knows? The talent's there. If they can figure out a way to keep, guys like Henry Ford and Blaine Brown, get them another year.
Ford's out of eligibility.
Oh, okay. My apologies. I read
I'm
him.
pretty sure.
Yeah, he's only a junior. I don't know.
Is he?
Baseball's got weird rules.
Yeah,
So,
he won't be back. But Blaine Brown's not draft eligible. He will be back.
so you've got the guys coming back
Yeah.
as long as you can retain them to where, hey, I understand that we have had 2 years of not normal at Tennessee. 2022, 2024, two very not normal years. And the fact that they came
Right.
so close to each other makes it really hard not to expect that.
Makes it harder. Yeah.
But if there's anything to be encouraged with, it's that, like, because like last year's team was not leaving anything for this year's team. This year's team will leave plenty for next year's team. And
Sure.
if if Elander has learned anything from Tony, from all of the incredible coaches, I mean, he played for Schlossnagel at TCU, worked at Arkansas, I believe, under that guy, whatever his name is.
Right.
Now under Tony, like, Elander has learned from some of the greatest baseball coaches.
Yeah.
And so if he can take this team, again, not wishing away next year, but if this year is just a gap year, we're hoping to host a region. We're hoping to get, at this point, hope to get to a regional. Let it. Maybe next year it is. I mean, still, I stand by my prediction. On paper, this team has everything it needs to get to Omaha. But I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen this year because games are not played on paper.
Sure.
So,
Sure. Well, and it's like you said, right? Like, again, I probably shouldn't even say this because we're not looking forward to next year. But I mean, most of these guys are not draft eligible. Like Blaine Brown, he's back. I don't know about Marin. Abernathy, he's not going pro. Grimmer, I'm not sure on, but Levi Clark's not draft eligible. Landon Mack is not draft eligible. It's like your first two pitchers next year are Cam Appenzeller or Landon Mack.
right.
You don't think that's going to be lethal?
Correct.
So, like, yeah, you're building and this year's not done. You could rip something random off, go to Omaha. Heck, you don't even have to host a super, or you don't even have to host a regional.
Yeah.
You've got enough talent to where you could turn it on and you could go as a 2 or 3 seed and win a regional.
Right.
So Omaha's not necessarily out of the question. Like, you're building for next year. Next year should be a loaded team, assuming you get to keep people and you don't lose people.
Right. And that'll be the big question as we head into the off season, which is very far away. So, but hey, we are well over time, and we feel like I said this a couple episodes ago, but probably our longest episode. So if you're listening, hey, thank you so much. We'll be back this weekend. I don't know what we'll see what happens with basketball portal. Logan, you're going to the orange and white game. Represent for us. I just had a newborn, so I don't think that I will be able to go. But we'll get to talk about that some. Look ahead. Very interesting. All the news that's coming out of spring ball, and it's going to be a fun time. And then we have it's wild, Logan. This is you're in some ways going to a funeral on Saturday. The death of Tennessee and Nike, as far as the football program goes.
That is true. That is true, which is a bummer because I am anti-Adidas. I am Nike through and through. I really don't wear anything else.
Don't worry. There's another brand in state that is great. And if you don't know what Volunteer Traditions is, go to their website. They're fantastic. I'm currently wearing one of their pullovers. This is not an ad, but Mason, if you want to sponsor us, let me know. So,
it is
anyways,
good stuff. Their hoodie's great.
Hey, listen, they do not make bad things. And if you're willing to pay Nike prices, you'll be willing to pay Volunteer Tradition prices. So,
But
with that,
you are coming up here in 2 weeks. We're just going to speak into existence. You are coming up here in 2 weeks for the big blowout sale.
yes, if you have not seen it, the athletic program is going to essentially sell all of the Nike stuff for every sport, I guess, except baseball.
We're assuming that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So, maybe they'll have another one in July. Who knows? But they're having a big inventory sale, so be interesting to see what they're selling. So anyways, hey, thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time, and appreciate you listening. See ya.